Hello, and welcome to the weekly broadcast of Strategic Speaking for Results. I'm Elizabeth Bachman, your host, and today want to ask you, are you standing up for yourself? Are you speaking up for yourself? If you get talked over in a meeting, do you protest? Do you stop? Or do you just sort of sit back and say, it's not that important? It is important. If you are being taken for granted or talked over, then that means you're not getting the recognition you deserve and that other people will. So first of all, if you're in a meeting and people interrupt you regularly, make sure that you are presenting your ideas in a concise and coherent way, that you get to the point, that you're not going off on tangents, because going off on tangents, it's something we all do. And it's also makes people think that they don't have to pay attention to you. They don't have to listen to you. Also, often people are not listening because they're spending the time thinking about what they're going to say next. That's very common. I've just done a broadcast about listening, so go back and listen to that one too. If that's the case, they probably haven't heard what you had to say, and then they might interrupt you. Here's where having allies is good. If this happens regularly, especially if there's one person in particular who interrupts you, make sure that you have allies and enroll your allies to reinforce what you've just said, to say, thank you for stating that. That's what Elizabeth just said. Elizabeth, can you tell us more? What I've discovered is that often the people who are doing the interrupting aren't interrupting on purpose. Most of the time, it's not specifically to cut you off. Most of it is they just didn't hear you. Either you were rambling on and they lost interest, or they were so busy thinking about what they're doing that they didn't actually hear what you had to say. Having an ally reinforce you, say it again, will imprint it in their brains and help you be heard, and also open the door for someone to be spoken to again, for you to speak to again. Of course, you will do that in return. See if there's somebody else who's being talked over and ignored, and just be allies for each other. The other important part about this is make sure that what you have to say is relevant. Make sure that what you have to say, what's the benefit? If you're telling a story about what you're good at, then, or something that you did, tell us what the benefit is, not just what you did, but what was the benefit to the organization? What was the benefit to the department? What was the benefit? A good phrase I like to use is, the problem was, what I did was, that's problem, solution, benefit, so that we got, the problem was these two people weren't talking to each other. What I did was connect them, figure out what the challenge was, and get them both both working in the same direction, so that the project got finished early and under budget. For instance, stand up for yourself. The other thing that happens often, especially with women, is because when women are being talked over or ignored or shut down, they don't speak up, they don't push back. I don't know if you may have, or they lose their temper and they yell because they've been pushed so far. Neither of these are helpful. Speak up for yourself in a considerate, controlled way. Have your ally do that for you. but do push back, because if there's someone who's regularly interruptible, people are trainable. They can learn. They just need to be aware. Awareness is everything. The more you sit back and choose not to get into the mix, not to protest, pardon me, the more it will happen, the angrier you will get, and then resentment builds up. And quite often, people, especially women, will think that it's a personal thing, that they're being personally insulted, and then they quit. So before you do that, make sure that there's a real reason. If you're going to quit, quit, but make sure there's a real reason and it's not just a misunderstanding. Speak up for yourself, own your power, own your expertise. It's better for your listeners, better for your organization, and it's better for you. This has been Elizabeth Bachman, Strategic Speaking for Results. I'll see you on the next one.